Welcome to Studio A. I am Kimberly Clark, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ITR Economics. This is my colleague, very close friend, and one of my confidants that I've had the pleasure of working with for the last several years, 10 years, 11 years, 15 years.
Making us feel really old really fast. Thanks, Kim.
Jackie Greene, Vice President of Economics. We are here in Studio A today to launch our VP series. This is episode 1, where we will be focusing on who are we? Why are we here at ITR? Where did we come from? And what are our goals for the company moving forward?
Up until that last bit, I thought we were an economics firm, and I thought you were taking us down to a philosophy route, but you brought it back to econ.
Excellent. Mission accomplished.
We've been doing this for a long time, as you point out. I've been here over 16 years now, and you've been here how long?
11.
11. Feels like yesterday in some ways.
It does. Very much so.
Yet we've each had more kids during that time period, so it's been quite a while.
That is true, too. They've gotten large, so it must have been a while.
Yes, they have. During that time, we've done a lot. I mean, you and I have traveled across the country, across continents with each other, meeting our clients, talking with them, working with them.
I think it was, 5 countries in 5 days? That one trip?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a trip.
Memory serves, that was 2014 when we were doing that. And we were talking to people about the oil prices just dropping at that point in time.
I think it was, because I believe closure is around 3. So
What's
that would make
funny
sense.
is we were talking about oil prices dropping, whereas today oil prices are skyrocketing. And it's just, it comes and goes. You know what happened this past year was one of the things that I never thought I'd see in my life.
Which was?
Well, lots of things up, actually. But one of the
short list.
One of the things that happened this past year that I really never thought I'd see that. And I said it multiple times, even to the team. I was going, oil prices went negative. Never saw that coming. Just because it's such an unnatural thing. You would think with oil, just because, well, I'm an economist, it's the whole supply and demand. Someone's always wanting it, so it really went negative. Now, it was very brief, as we know, and it bounced back up, and it's just one of those things. It's been such an interesting year. But it's been an interesting ride over the last decade that you've been here, and the last decade and a half I've been here. We've seen a lot.
Anything else happen the last 16 years that totally took you by surprise and something you thought you would never see?
I'm torn because there's a part of me that says I should answer no. There's a part of me that says I should answer yes. But I mean, as a forecaster, you want to say no. But the reality is yes. I mean, black swans happen. Let's be realistic. No one expected COVID to be the pandemic it was. I can't claim to have seen that coming. Interestingly enough, though, our methodology and our forecasting, we knew there was something coming. We knew there was a recession coming. The timing with the pandemic really fueled right into that timing and worked out very well. And that's what's so cool about our methodology is it works over and over. It works. You don't always know the exact whys ahead of time, but what we've been able to do through our methodology really highlights when those cycles are going to hit. It's really fun.
Why do we call them black swans?
Oh, there's an actual term for it. It's an actual term.
I always just call them black swans because that's what you've always called them.
But there's also gray swans and things like that. It's about the severity of just an unknown event. I used another one the other day, though, that I don't know if it's a real term, but I used it with the econ team. I said the Easter Bunny principle. And they all looked at me like, what? Well, and then I explained, like at Easter, lots of kids get Easter bunnies as gifts and things like that. And then a month or so later, they all end up at shelters as people really don't really want to be taking care of all these Easter bunnies. So we were talking about in terms of all the RV sales and the boat sales that have gone on during COVID is how many of those will stay with their current ownership versus people go, yeah, now that I can go back to normal life, I don't want to stay with those toys.
That's a very interesting phenomenon. And you hear people talking about stuff like that outside of ITR, but they don't have the guidance or the insight or the data to be able to answer that question. Right? That's another thing that makes it so neat about being here is that you have access to all of this information at your fingertips and you have brains like yours that understand it all and the team that puts it all into actionable information for the clients. So black swan is not an ITR-ism.
Nope, it's a real thing.
And there's a gray swan that is a less severe unknown.
Yes. I know, all the things we learn. Every day we learn something new. And that's one of the things we talk about when we're hiring people is you have to be ready and willing to learn something new every single day.
Most definitely. Tomorrow us is always smarter and better than today us, right? Because we're all dedicated to learning and growing every day.
That is the goal. That's why we're committed to learning, and that's one of our core values. But it's a challenge at times. You were asking me what is something that I didn't see coming. And not that I didn't see this coming, but we have to keep challenging our own assumptions. One of the things I've done is I've looked at relationships between key macro series. We do that over and over again. That's part of what we do, is, with our timing analysis and all those sorts of pieces to do our forecasting. Well, when I started here over 16 years ago, we had basic assumptions about things and how different markets related. So one of them was U.S. industrial production to U.S. housing starts. I always knew the relationship was X. I always knew it was X. And then I was re-evaluating this after the 2008-2009 housing crisis, or housing crash, I should say. So this was probably 2011, 2012, when I was taking a fresh look at things, just because I need to update some files anyways. I looked at it, and it had completely changed, that relationship. And it was one of those, I had to step back and take another look and go, wait, really? Have I been wrong this whole time, or is it just it changed? And it's so many things changed after that recession. The Great Recession really changed a lot of relationships, not just for our indicators, but for our clients. That you have to constantly be reevaluating how you do it. But what's so cool about it is underneath all of it, our methodology still works. Our theory still works. That theory we've been honing since, 1948?
Yep.
I mean, it just gets better and better each time we look at it. We tweak it, we adjust it, we grow with it. It's been very fun. And I know you've heard this too, but I always think it's so cool that we've been able to back test this for centuries. It's not just something that we hope on a prayer. It's been proven centuries into the past, and it keeps proving it right into the future too.
I love hearing you talk about it, because you get so excited and you can see how passionate.
Econ nerd comes out.
Yeah, well, we can geek out together over it, because while still in sales and marketing, I am a nerd as well. So I get excited watching you get excited over it. I think it's also because underlying all of it, we all have this passion to want to help people, right? That's what drives us to continue to get better. So it drives us to be willing to take that step back and look at previously had assumptions and reconsider them, because if we're giving wrong information, we're not helping anyone.
Yeah, and that's why you and I used to go out, meet clients together. We'd tag team the conversation. It was always with the goal of how can we help them the best? What do they need? How can we help them get those answers and make better decisions for tomorrow? Kim, so I get to see behind you. Don't look. What company are we part of?
ITR Economics.
Yes, you get to keep it. Yes. It's not somewhere else. Oh, it is. It's behind me too. All right. So you had to cheat. But now that's a really cool thing that we go by ITR Economics. This company's had lots of iterations of the name over the years, but for a while there, people failed to remember ITR Economics, and they knew the Bolio brothers. You were a big part of helping get our recognition as ITR Economics and not just focused on the Bolio brothers. What was that like?
Hard. Well, it's just Brian and Alan Bolio just have such a following. They cast this very large shadow, and to get the marketplace to tie in that feeling, that emotion, that trust that they have with Brian and Alan specifically into a company name, into a brand, it's an entire branding strategy, an entire branding initiative. And actually, as you know, when I first started, it wasn't ITR Economics. It was ITR. And I had asked, I said, well, how do people know we're an economic firm? Well, ITR stands for Institute for Trend Research. That sounds like a market research firm, not an economic forecasting company, right? Remember all those conversations in Boston about us talking, do we add economics? Do we not add economics?
Well, I don't think you were here yet. There was a day we got a piece of mail to ITR, Institute for Twin Research, which is funny because Brian and Alan are twins.
Oh, that's ironic. That's awesome. But yes, so when we were discussing in Boston, should we add in economics or not? That was a big to-do. So it was a very pointed strategy that got us to today, where when you look at our keywords of what people are using to find us, it is ITR. It is ITR Economics.
I know for you, one of the big things is feeling like you're making a difference in the world of business.
Yep.
Can you think of some of the ways that you've been able to see that come to be over the years?
It's just the clients that email in and say, thank you. You were able to, I think back to even with COVID, one of the emails that we got was that he was concerned about funding the tuition for his child's college and took our advice, made some changes, and is now putting his child through college. right? So when you say we're helping the world of business grow stronger, in my mind, it's bigger than that. It's when you make the world of business grow stronger, you make society around it stronger. You're able to provide for that food on the table, or that child's tuition, or a roof over someone's head. We're all just people running these businesses, and I love helping people.
And we've met some of the nicest people doing it over the years.
Yes. Yeah, and we've learned about their wives or their husbands, their children's, the sports that they play, and get to know them as the client, the person.
You were so the sales and marketing person, and I'm the econ person, because you were talking about their feelings and their family lives, and I'm thinking, and the things they make, and how it fits into this and that and the other thing.
All right, that too. That's really neat too. Walking all of those plant floors and wearing the fun gloves and the fun goggles.
We are definitely both in the right seat, is what it comes down to.
So we make the dynamic duo.
That's right.
Jackie, earlier on in the conversation, you had mentioned, or we were chatting about when we were in Europe or just traveling in general, we tag teamed in there. We were, we called it the dynamic duo, right? But it's because we both have unique skill sets that we can lean on very well that support multiple angles of our clients' needs. So I mentioned your brain and how you're able to look at it, all of this information and this data and make it usable, understandable, actionable. Where we found that my role tended to be more on this trusted advisory role, because sometimes the information you were telling them was difficult to hear. And they needed that extra person that was there also speaking in layman's terms, business terms, to kind of help translate that action plan into the emotions I was seeing on their faces, right? We were just joking around about earlier that I'm the people person, right? So I could read their faces and understand how they were feeling, what the reaction was when you would say something. When we started having our own teams to train, how do we teach this? How do we train this? Because it's imperative that all our clients get the same experience. And so now that our teams have continued to grow, what are some of the ways that you've learned over the years to teach that partnership skill for these varying on-site clients?
So we have this whole team of economists and this whole team of account executives, and we need to have a way for them to work together just as well as you and I were, so that we would be scalable and we could help that many more people. So some of the things we looked at is, okay, what were the things we were doing together that would make it successful? I mean, part of it was just we spent time together. We got to know each other well enough. And it was one of the things, too, when I would travel with some of the account executives for other accounts and that you weren't on necessarily, but helping with the training of my economists sometimes, I would just develop those relationships. And so you get a better flow with them. So we learned to even just facilitate human interaction, as silly as that sounds. So we started growing those pieces. We started teaching them, and I don't want to give away all our little secrets here, but there were times when you and I had developed little code words of like, when I say this, I need you to jump in. Overall, though, it's not just that. I mean, frankly, both the sales team and the econ team have grown so much from where we were when we were at that point in our career. We've put a lot of training into them, not just on how to work together, but as individuals. Both teams are so much stronger and well-oiled machines, for lack of better phrasing, at the moment, that man, they can conquer so much at this point.
I think creating that culture of transparency has also lent itself very well to everyone respecting each other's skills and playing to their strengths, again, with the client's needs in mind.
So Kim, we were both promoted to VP at the same time, which is really cool. We've put in a lot of work to get there, so I'm really pleased and excited for you. I'm proud of you.
Likewise.
Well, I thank you.
Yep.
Now, I'm the forecaster of the two of us, so it's part of my daily job to see where the future lies. So where do you see your future lying? I recognize I have a head start on this question.
I'm at a disadvantage already.
No, because you subscribe to TR, to the ITR Trends report, so you should have all the intel you need.
So what do I see looking
What are you looking forward to in the future, too?
Continuing to do the same great things that we've always done. Really, in my mind, the mission remains the same. It's just the larger we get, the bigger the speakerphone I have in marketing to shout out into the world that ITR is here, and we have the best foresight from which you can plan, right? We see the future first. Because we are so accurate, I have every bit of confidence in this coming Great Depression that we've been warning our clients about. We were right with the recession, and we were right with the trends that we're starting to see today, being in print so long ago. And so when I look ahead over the next 10, 15 years, I'm on a mission. And I will be the driving force to continue on that mission until we reach as many businesses as we possibly can, and through the Great Depression and then thereafter. How about you? What do you see when you're looking out into the future?
I love our forecasting. I love that it gives me the sense of confidence in where I'm going, not just as the company and helping our clients, but also in my own personal life of how to plan for it, even how to give my children suggestions of what careers they should be going for as they're entering and exiting college. It gives me a lot of confidence. And so that's paramount to me. I've been working with Brian and Alan, as you know, learning a lot of what we call the secret sauce behind the scenes. It's a lot of ITR's proprietary methodology or theory. I've been working with them a lot on it. And so part of what I'm really looking forward to is honing that and working a lot more closely with Brian over this next year to kind of finalize a lot of that training so that we are in a good place as a company. I'm looking forward to the future too, because we keep advancing in how we meet our clients' needs, what we're doing. We have initiatives internally to keep finding ways to meet those needs better and be there for our clients in new ways that we hadn't thought about previously. I love that our technology is advancing. I mean, I use our ITR app all the time because I can read our ITR trends report. I can read those things just when I want them. And I know we have so much more coming through that. I mean, that sort of thing gets me so excited that we are going to be there for our clients wherever they need us. I love that part.
Thank you for joining Jackie and I today for this VP episode. And here in Studio A, we look forward to you joining us for our next episode, where we will continue discussing the future of ITR and where we see it going. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.